Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Today we got a new letter from Robin Denholm. The TLDR, she's encouraging all shareholders to vote their Tesla shares before the deadline on November 5th. The most important line in the letter: if we fail to foster an environment that motivates Elon to achieve great things through an equitable pay-for-performance plan, we run the risk that he gives up his executive position and Tesla may lose his time, talent, and vision, which have been essential to delivering extraordinary shareholder returns. Without Elon, Tesla could lose significant value, as our company may no longer be valued for what we aim to become. Basically, a transformative AI company. Cynics will classify this as a threat, but others will classify it just as the reality of the situation. And her primary call to action: if you want Tesla to have a shot at becoming the world's most valuable company, then you should vote for proposals 1, 3, and 4. So, of course, there's going to be a marketing and PR blitz over the next week from Robin to encourage everyone to vote their shares, to vote with the board's recommendations. For what it's worth, I do not view these statements as a threat, but rather just a risk that Tesla is facing. If Elon is not incentivized at Tesla for the next decade, he's likely to spend more time elsewhere, and he just won't be comfortable building Optimus at scale without proper voting control. For me, I don't think any of that is controversial. Today, we also had the State Board of Administration of Florida coming out with a letter explaining why they are voting for Elon's new compensation package. Their summary: Tesla's performance-based comp plans have consistently driven extraordinary shareholder value, far outpacing industry peers and market benchmarks. The 2025 plan continues this tradition, aligning executive rewards with ambitious, measurable milestones that benefit all share owners. With robust governance safeguards, transparent succession planning, and a proven track record of value creation, we believe this plan sets the gold standard for executive compensation. For those reasons, among others, the SBA will be voting for the 2025 Performance Award. They highlighted how the pay package has extraordinary demands, requiring Tesla to become an $8.5 trillion company. And they said those who claim the plan is too large ignore the scale of ambition that has historically defined Tesla's trajectory. For me, I just will never understand why so many people seem to think going from $1.5 trillion to $8.5 trillion is for some reason a guaranteed outcome for Tesla. Let's not forget, it took Tesla nearly 2 decades to become a $1.5 trillion company. As of this summer, the SBA owned about 2.7 million shares, which as of today would be worth about $1.2 billion. Last week, we talked about how Tesla was hiring for Cybercab in Austin, and there were 6 job listings. Well, fast forward 1 more week, and we're now up to 30. So no surprises here. Tesla will be hiring for the rest of this year and into Q1 next year as they ramp up for production to begin sometime in Q2 next year. Some of the positions are body sub-assemblies, battery repair technician, drive unit tech, battery equipment tech, general assembly, injection molding, drive unit engineering, and so on. Speaking of job listings, Tesla also has 6 postings for Robotaxi operations manager. And the cities: Orlando, Florida, now officially, Tampa, Doral, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, and Austin. So Orlando is now officially in the mix. Sawyer shared a note from Adam Jonas at Morgan Stanley. He said, "I'm calling it. Autonomous cars are solved. Do I mean 6 or 7 nines to the right of the decimal? No. Perfection? Never. But enough to pull the safety driver at scale in major metros." From our discussions with Tesla, it appears the only thing preventing Tesla from pulling the driver is its own abundance of caution. Our understanding is that there's no other explicit regulatory approval required to pull drivers in Texas. A passive, optical-only AV system would seriously challenge the conventional thinking of many in the robotaxi community. Tesla truly believes that radar and LiDAR do not make its cars any safer. It's our long-standing opinion that if you solve autonomy for cars, you solve autonomy for many other form factors of AI-enabled robotics: aviation, marine, weapons, etc. Tesla will have around 8 million vehicles in the global fleet by year-end. 12% FSD penetration implies 1 million active paying users. If we were to apply the $99 per month subscription fee to all users, that implies about $300 million of quarterly FSD revenue, or $1.2 billion annualized FSD revenue at a year-end exit rate. Assuming an 85% margin would imply approximately $1 billion of EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. This accounting for 15 to 20% of total company EBIT. Highly profitable, highly reoccurring. And just so you know, earlier this year, Adam Jonas took a new position at Morgan Stanley, so he is no longer covering the auto sector. He now has a new position in research focused on physical and embodied AI. But all you need to know, between anecdotal evidence he is seeing and his discussions with Tesla, he thinks autonomous cars are solved. And as many of us have understood, if Tesla really wanted to, they could pull the safety monitors now, but they are not, out of an abundance of caution. One thing is for sure, taking a stance like this and this type of bullishness is sure to make its rounds in the Wall Street community. And part of why is because these analysts can start to plug in some numbers into their precious models with some level of confidence. And as you'll see, that was likely only part of the Tesla stock buying today. And speaking of purchases, we recently got Ashley a new white Model Y, and with that comes the fun of accessorizing the car, as the plan, at least for now, is to have her own this one for a long while. And we at the Loomis household do our best to be good stewards with what we own, and so floor mats are essential. Not just for keeping the car clean, but for how the car looks and the passenger experience, etc. And guys, let me tell you, after testing a bunch, these mats from 3W are the cream of the crop. They look awesome, the fit is perfect, they're easy to clean, and they have some features I've never seen any other company offer. Ashley loves shiny things, so she was pumped about this metal pedal design, but it's actually an innovative Vigor mold tech that improves the wear resistance and durability and completely eliminates that edge warping that you'll see with some other mats. The front mats both have this hidden feature. They extend backward and double as a storage compartment for Kleenex or umbrellas, and even if you don't use it as storage, it's still extra protection. Ashley does like to drive fast and aggressive, and these mats have zero movement, and if you haven't noticed, the mats have a unique pattern inspired by Tesla's design with the Y logo embedded in the mats in multiple different ways. But it's still subtle enough to not be distracting. Ashley's a big DIY gal, so covering the back of the seats when flat is very important for us, and these ones fit like a glove. They tuck right under this little flap of fabric easily, and just watch the beauty of the auto fold seats after putting these seat backs on, which took maybe 90 seconds total. And here's Ashley smelling the mats, because others we've tested did have smells and these ones not at all. So if you use my links below, you can get 33% off 3W's website or $30 off on Amazon with my code 3WDylan. And even if you don't need mats right now, you can bookmark the links for when the time comes. I think you will be very pleased with these mats. Now, on Ashok's presentation at the International Conference of Computer Vision, I just want to make sure everybody understands the key takeaways, as this was a summary of Tesla's AI work over the past few months. And he did say at the beginning, in Austin, below 40 miles an hour, you can get a car without anyone in the passenger seat. But maybe he meant driver seat, maybe he misspoke. Personally, I would not read too much into that. I'm still sticking with safety monitors, very much still a thing, even in Austin, likely for the rest of this year. So the first thing, many of us like to say Tesla's neural network system is just pixels in and controls out, or photons in, controls out. But we cannot forget about navigation, vehicle kinematics like speed, and now audio input too. So it's not just pixels from cameras being used as input data. Ashok was explaining why Tesla took the end-to-end approach, given Tesla is the minority in the autonomous space taking this approach. One reason was Tesla learned it's very hard to write code for what humans value when driving. Think about things like, do you brake earlier or later? Do you stop for an object or go around it? Do you drive through a puddle or go into the oncoming lane? And all of those decisions boil down to human preference and values. So rather than trying to write code for the hierarchy of all of these preferences, the end-to-end model is far superior. Just show the videos of what humans actually do and learn from those. Then Ashok went on to explain how the connection between perception and planning is not well defined. For example, the car could see chickens ahead, but knowing if they plan to move or cross the road or if they're just staying stationary is very hard to write code for, specifically for the planning task. But it's obvious for humans to understand and to plan, which is why Ashok said end-to-end is obviously better than the modular approach. And just know when Ashok says modular, he means like what Waymo is doing, hand-coded, siloed components where perception, planning, and control are separate modules, and they're forced to communicate with each other through code, whereas Tesla just uses one massive neural network for everything. But from here, Ashok went on to explain how Tesla's end-to-end approach is not without challenges. Problem number one was the large context length. With all of this input, it can be billions of tokens for a 30-second context window, meaning Tesla has to narrow all of that information down to maybe 2 output tokens like steering and acceleration. Just think of tokens as the smallest units of data from all of the input data, just like LLMs break down text into smaller tokens, like individual letters or words. But this is where Tesla's fleet providing 500 years of driving data every day comes into play. Having all of these real-world miles allows Tesla to have very focused and relevant training on the highest value correlations, making sure the network learns the proper causal human-aligned decisions. And so Tesla has these triggers that it can use within the network to basically pool all of the data for the rarest edge cases that the fleet has encountered just in manual driving. Tesla doesn't need the vehicles to have FSD engaged to capture all of that video footage. And we know no other company can have access to all of this high quality specific edge case data because their fleets are not outfitted with cameras. And then the second problem was interpreting the model, basically making the black box of the neural network understandable so that engineers can learn why it's choosing the output control it does. Now, Ashok mentioned that using plain language, you can ask the model why it made certain decisions. And naturally, we have people making the leap saying that soon customers in the car will have the option to, say, drive faster or go around this car or go park over there. And maybe down the line that functionality comes, but understand why that's also quite dangerous. You can easily get a Dan O'Dowd or a Gordon Johnson in the car telling it to do stupid stuff, and you get the picture. But more importantly, from a technical aspect, this is not at all what Ashok was talking about. He was just saying language can be used as an output tool for debugging the model, not as a direct input for user commands. He was saying engineers can use it to query the model, aka to have it explain why it did certain things to better understand the model and to establish some transparency into the thinking behind certain decisions. So just don't get over your skis with the Tesla community making leaps when, in my opinion, it's really not the time to make based on my understanding of the presentation. And finally, evaluation was actually the hardest problem that Ashok talked about. And this is what Elon has mentioned publicly about the hardest thing being determining which model is best. It's the process of figuring out which model will actually drive the best in the real world, not just the one that looks good during training. In the training environment, things may look great. The model predicts actions based on frozen images perfectly, but then once you're in the real world where the car's actions change the scene dynamically, it's an entirely different ballgame. So Tesla's solution here is to use the world simulator it's developed, which is just the neural nets generating these hyper-realistic videos where Tesla can take past problems and rerun the new models to see how the new models would perform in the same situation. And further, Tesla can add new complexities to the scenes. Many people in the autonomous space have talked about the problem of models struggling with causal confusion. Just think about braking for a shadow that looks like a pothole. It's actually this world model that Tesla can use to try to shorten the gap between the testing phase and real world performance. And then finally, Ashok did say that this same technology transfers quite seamlessly to Optimus as well. But I did save what I think is maybe the best for last. It was when Ashok was talking about Tesla's generative Gaussian splatting. In short, it's the process Tesla is using to build a 3D map that only takes about 0.2 seconds, whereas traditional versions or other methods can take dozens of minutes. And further, Tesla's Gaussian splatting produces a much smoother 3D representation of the real world using only data from its 8 cameras. And the problem here is usually cars just move forward linearly, meaning the cameras are only gathering data from a certain perspective. So the second you try to view that world representation from a different perspective, think from a drone or an airplane, with traditional or legacy Gaussian splatting, the overall quality degrades quite quickly from different perspectives. But that's not the case with Teslas. So not only can Tesla create these 3D worlds much faster, but they can do it much better. So in a way, especially when you think about how all of this can be applied to Optimus, this is like going from flip phones to smartphones. We know FSD needs to make decisions in split seconds, so we cannot have any systems that take 10 to 30 seconds to load a 3D model. Tesla's generative solution here only uses cameras, proving you don't need expensive gear to do things better. And tying back to earlier, it's actually these 3D Gaussians that show why Tesla's AI acted like it did, why it made certain decisions. And over time, this is going to build trust not just with Tesla's engineers, but with regulators, which should help to speed up approvals. And just like everything else at Tesla, it's trained on Tesla's fleet data, meaning it's going to get better with every drive out there. So basically, Tesla's generative Gaussian splatting is now using the cars to create these 3D worlds on the fly that give the engineers a lot more insight into why the network is doing what it's doing. And one more time, this should transfer well to Optimus. Tesla app updates gave us a Robotaxi app decompile. They said the latest Robotaxi app update just dropped a game changer, the complete code base for airport pickups and drop-offs. While airports like Austin are already inside the geofence, this new code is the final piece needed to enable full terminal service. This update moves the feature from in theory to ready for activation. There's a new airline picker code that's designed to solve the imprecision of a manual pin drop in a complex multi-level airport environment. If you're heading to or from the airport, the app will prompt you to select your airline. Robotaxi will then use that data to automatically determine the exact terminal and door. This removes the guesswork often associated with airport ride hailing. They shared this screenshot of the San Jose Mineta International Airport and some of the different airlines and terminals. Buried in the code, they found a walk container module that's developer speak for an in-app walking guidance, likely designed to route you from baggage claim directly to the designated Robotaxi pickup curb. Think Google Maps, but inside the airport and tailored to your flight. And they said this isn't just theory. As of September, we know Tesla's actively initiating engagement with major airports like SJC, SFO, and OAK. This update means the technical foundation is built. Once Tesla gets the green light from airport authorities, this integrated system would enable Robotaxi to manage the entire curb-to-gate journey. And what do you know, last night Tesla AI said our Bay Area ride-hailing service now goes to SJC Airport. That is San Jose Mineta International. And while it's true that Waymo is currently testing for the SJC Airport, it is not currently offering paid rides for customers at SJC. One thing I haven't seen anyone mention, 2026 is set to be a huge year for the Bay Area. Not only will there be some World Cup soccer games held there, but also the Super Bowl is going to be held in San Francisco. So you can bet not just SFO, but SJC will be very busy airports in 2026. So I think this is a great opportunity for Tesla to start offering this service ahead of that mad rush expected next year. And of course, next year, hopefully hopefully they're ready to do this without a safety driver. Here is Tesla's Bay Area geofence, and the San Jose Mineta Airport is right down here. And importantly, Nick Patane shared this image from the SJC airport. It says autonomous vehicle rideshare, designating that at least to some degree, whether on the pickup or drop-off side, there will be a separate area for autonomous vehicles. But as we just saw with Tesla's app Decompile, it sounds like when you're going to the airport, you'll go exactly where you need to go to your specific terminal. So at least in Tesla's case, this designated area may only be for customers already at the airport looking to leave from the airport. Meaning once they have all of their bags, they'll go outside and gather at this area. But again, it looks like Tesla is preparing to take customers directly to their terminal. We've talked in the past why this is such a big deal. It's probably use case number one for autonomy, airport travel, and big airports are incredibly complicated and congested with moving parts and signs needing to be read and understood. And now I will say SJC is not a huge airport in my opinion, but it's certainly a great start. Over the weekend, Tesla sent out another new dot release, FSD 14.1.4. Now, unfortunately, before we get to .1.4, we have to take a look at what happened allegedly with FSD 14.1.3 that Dirty Tesla shared. The video source was not from Dirty Tesla, but he did repost it saying he thinks this is actually legitimate.
Oh, pulled in and then back in. I mean, the thought was there.
Did it just hit that?
Yes.
Now, I'm saying allegedly because there's at least a chance that the driver's foot was actually on the accelerator pedal, even though it was clearly in FSD, it said self-driving in blue. And very clearly in both videos, contact was actually made with the pole in the parking spot. And their car did have a front bumper license plate which protected the car, which they certainly would have known. All I'm going to say is this is certainly possible. We have seen parking bumps and mishaps like this with shopping cart drop-offs and curbs, so I'm not saying I think it was the driver on the accelerator with nefarious intent. All I'm saying is that we just don't know for sure. Either way though, be cautious if you are in a situation like this. Chamath made a related point. He said, in a world of autonomous cars, car insurance becomes a highly profitable but massively subscale business. Insurance so you can drive on the roads versus a robot will become a very expensive luxury good and be priced as such. Most people won't bother. Rich enthusiasts will. Massive value destruction of incumbent insurers over time. Over the next 2 decades, it'll be very interesting to see how many people opt for the autonomous route when this thing actually scales. Because remember, not only will they avoid the expenses of owning a vehicle, but they won't have to pay for insurance as well because the insurance will be carried by the Robotaxi provider. So it really will be fascinating to watch. On V14, Mike said it's a major regression in yellow light behavior. V13 was the GOAT, master of yellow lights. Have seen enough now to confirm there's a major regression with version 14. And let's not just completely overlook hardware 3 in FSD 12. What's Up Frank said FSD did the most aggressive swerve while on the highway into the lane beside me. Then all of a sudden a massive construction barrel flies past the car. Hardware 3 saved my front end. Even a human in this situation, if they're not paying attention for that split second or two, that could be trouble. Here's Chuck with 14.1.4.
This is a big kind of arts district here. This place is called Cork. And oh, look at that. The truck needed more room. Awesome. That was really good. That was very reactive. I was sitting there going to say, what are you going to do? It gave room to the truck at a stoplight. Little bit of a hesitation there. It was not a brake tap. It was just kind of a peak. Hey, Tesla AI, that reaction was really fast. I was sitting there thinking we're getting ready to watch a truck get stuck, but it very quickly backed up. Love that kind of behavior.
And the official Tesla account shared this, saying it's the little things. It was a video of version 14 recognizing hand gestures indicating they're about to leave a busy parking lot at Costco. In this situation, FSD waited until the car actually left, and then the Ego car parked seamlessly in that exact spot. And so apparently that's all happening without reasoning yet being added to the model. Francisco shared Tesla just opened its first store in South America in Chile. He said on top of that, Tesla is planning to roll out superchargers every 200 kilometers along Chile's extensive coastline and highways. Technically, it's not the first store in Chile, as Tesla opened up a location back in February of this year. But I think this might be the first full experience location. Elon shared a post from Sawyer saying Tesla's back at number 1, and specifically the Model Y was Europe's best-selling car in September of any type. In Europe, the Model Y returned to the number 1 spot for the first time in 9 months. Now, I have to say, it's only 1 month of data, and it is the 3rd month of the quarter, which is still part of the wave for Tesla. And so before anyone goes making huge proclamations, I think we should wait to see the data for quarter 4. All of Q1 and Q2, we said at some point we were expecting a big rebound for Model Y sales across the EU once Tesla had more inventory of the new Model Y and production was ramped. So maybe that's showing up a few months later than we were expecting, but it's certainly something we will watch closely throughout Q4. Underrated Tesla feature, Tesla Charging said the trip planner adapts to fluctuating temperatures and automatically preconditions your battery for charging, cutting up to 10 minutes off at each supercharger stop. So it doesn't just precondition in general, it adapts specifically based on the temperature in the area. JD Power is now estimating that EV deliveries are forecast to fall 43% in October compared to 1 year ago after the elimination of the tax credit. So yes, that's obviously expected in the US. It's estimating the October EV share to be down at 5.2% compared to 8.5% last year, and that would be down from 12.9% where it ended in September. And they said these estimates are based on data from the first 16 selling days of October. As I said in the past, I'm very interested in where these sales numbers shake out for the next few months, and they said the stable percentage of new EV sales after everything settles down is no higher than 6% and likely 4 to 5%. NHTSA is now asking questions to Tesla about its latest Mad Max mode. NHTSA is in contact with Tesla to gather additional information. NHTSA is looking into a few things now with Tesla's FSD, and as a reminder, NHTSA put out a report on October 7th, and they said again here, it has 6 reports in which a Tesla vehicle operating with FSD engaged approached an intersection with a red traffic signal, continued to travel into the intersection against the red light, and was subsequently involved in a crash with other cars. If you've been following along, you'll remember most of them were in that same intersection in Joppa, Maryland. But as far as we know, NHTSA's investigation is still in the preliminary evaluation phase. So for now, no determinations or recalls have been assessed, and now they will also be looking into Mad Max. Elon said, a tweet or post is how I initiated the dozen or so startups that constitute Tesla. Tesla has made very few acquisitions. Our growth is around 90% organic. We did not play to our core strengths. We created core strengths from nothing. I wanted to share this because I really wish more people understood this. So many still like to argue that Elon did not build Tesla and that it was already established and Elon just took it over, which is complete nonsense we've debunked years ago. But most of these Tesla startups inside the Tesla umbrella were not even on the roadmap at Tesla in the early days. Things like Tesla Energy, Autopilot, Optimus, Semi, Cybercab, virtual power plants, and the list goes on. All of these mini startups that Elon spun up, attracting and hiring talent for. So the truth is, most likely with most other CEOs, Tesla would still just be a car company.
But what we have done in the plan is we've bifurcated the voting rights versus the economic value. He doesn't get those economic values till at least year 7.5, even if he delivers them in the first 5 years. And so that's one of the features of this plan. Shareholders get their return much earlier than Elon would if he delivers against the plan.
Robots can do a lot, but they still can't fold laundry, for example.
Oh, well, Optimus can fold laundry. I've actually
I will
been
say
in the
it
lab.
was a pretty gentle grasp with the gummies that he could have squished, and once or twice he dropped him like he did just now, and he went back and picked him up carefully.
No,
that's pretty gentle.
Exactly right. So I've been in the lab with Optimus. He can fold laundry. He can wipe the table down really well. He can hand things to you. You can actually shake hands with him. The tactile nature of his hand is actually really very good. On the earnings call, he even talked about the AI chips that he's been working on and the team are working on. Obviously, the software, we do have a few other vehicles coming out, so he spends time on that.
So there you have it. She says a few other vehicles are coming out. Now, of course, there are prominent people spreading the notion that these are new vehicles we do not yet know about. But for me, I'm definitely erring on the side of caution, and I really do just think she's talking about the Roadster, Cybercab, Semi, and the Robovan. So until we hear a specific call out or see something in a slide deck, I'm personally not expecting anything new outside of what we already know. Tesla has quietly rolled out a customer-friendly policy that automatically extends active subscriptions and free trials for vehicles stuck in service longer than 1 business day. So anything like FSD, premium connectivity, or even trial periods are automatically extended to cover the downtime. Trump was asked about Elon and he said, "It's good with Elon. I like Elon. I've always liked Elon. Elon's good. He's a nice guy and he's a very capable guy. He's had a bad spell, a bad period, a bad moment. It was a stupid moment in his life, very stupid, but I like Elon and I suspect I will always like him." Of course, Trump was talking about Elon's beef with Trump in some of his public comments about Trump, and Trump did say he has talked to Elon a few times since Charlie's memorial, but nothing major. But overall, it seems to be water under the bridge. Tesla stock closed the day at $452.42, up 4.31%, while the NDX was up 1.83%. The volume was 15% above the average. Don't forget, check out 3W mats linked below. Even if you don't need them right now, just bookmark the site and save my code. I'm telling you, these mats are awesome from every regard. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video. If you did, you can find me on X, linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.